Alright, good morning everybody. Mike here from Northeastern Dirt Property Maintenance. I'm on this job where I blew up that grapple and actually where I annihilated the grapple. But anyway, I'm back here. I got the 80 back on site here, and as I said earlier, the whole reason I brought that track loader down here with a grapple is these guys cleared some of this lot with a chainsaw. So everything they cleared, they just piled it here. Well, all this wood and all that brush has to go to the back of the lot back here. So I've got to double and maybe even triple handle some of this material. It's time consuming and it's pretty inefficient really, but that's just the way it worked out in this lot, and that's how it has to go. So I have to move all this material out of here first of all, with a thumb in the bucket of course, and then get it out and then pull it all back, and I have to handle the material multiple times, but that's just how it worked out. So let's get at her, and we'll start getting this job going, and then we got to do a whole bunch of stumping. To kind of just pull it with the bucket, trying to use the bucket and the thumb in here anyway. You have to be real careful. The logs are everywhere, so away you go. As I said earlier, we got to move brush pile, each one at a time. Handle them, move them, handle them again, move them. There's no easy, efficient way to do the cleanup in here, and that's just the way it is. So I got the hydraulic flow a little bit too fast on that thumb, and I actually got to go to the manual and figure out how to slow it down. I got a high flow rate on that thumb, too fast for my liking. If I can hear that thumb banging hydraulically, it's too fast. In my mind anyway. Out there, I stumped all that this morning. I must have taken 30 stumps out of there. If you look around, and she's muddy in there. I stumped it all this morning, all the way around here. But it's just full of rocks and boulders. She's tough skidding in there, man. They're going to need a lot of fill. They want to build a house in here. They're going to have to get her up. That house is going to have to come up in the air. I'll tell you, that's all dirt. A lot of dirt in there. We can just grade that out right here. Fill in some of these low spots with it. as you guys can see straight ahead of the camera, that's where all this grubbing has gone today. It's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I probably started out here about 8:30, 8 to 8:30. And so probably about 6 hours work. And all that grubbing, rock, logs, everything is all in that swamp back there. And that's where I'm pushing everything, straight ahead of that camera. And that's where she all goes, all the trees. I only knocked down probably 5 or 6 ribbon trees. They want to keep trees, obviously, so do I. So we just knocked down enough trees for a septic system and that's it. There's going to have to be a lot of infilling go on in this lot, boy, because it's super low. It's really low. Basically, it's a swamp lot. For this 80, I know already. I'm going to be buying a root rake for this thing, a rake for that machine, where I can comb right through this. Alright, so here we are so far on the swamp lot, mid-afternoon. That pile over there, I believe, is mostly fill, mostly soil. There is some wood in it, but you know what? We need fill badly on this lot. So it's frozen, and what I do with that big pile over there, I'm going to suggest to the landowner, let's leave it, let's let it unthaw. We're going to use that monster pile of fill right here in this whole area because it's so rocky. Well, it's moss, it's like muskeg in here. And you look at that, once you get done stumping something like this, you're opening up water holes all over the place. So you need to truck in a lot of fill here. And this is not going to be a cheap job for these guys if they want to build a house in this lot. When you start infilling on a lot like this and you buy lower ground like this, you better be prepared because it gets pricey. Fill, diesel fuel, everything has gone up here in northeastern Ontario. Everybody's bumping their prices up. Topsoil's gone up substantially from what I heard yesterday. So, you know what? This needs a bunch of infilling. And I just put tons and tons in the swamp back there. There's a lot of cubic yards of material I dragged back there today. So it's all stumped, but there's rock everywhere. I'm going to try and level it up. I'm going to try and track it in a bit neater too with a bucket and the tracks. At least get it somewhat reasonable looking because, you know what, it just looks terrible. I hate leaving a muddy mess behind. All right, good morning everybody. I'm back here in the bush. I'm on this job for not even a second day. I pretty much got this lot grubbed out a little bit here as per customer spec, and it's pretty wet in here. It's pretty wet in here, and I cleaned up all the brush yesterday, piles and piles of brush and logs, and she's pretty tough going in here, and it's really, really wet. They're going to have to do a tremendous amount of infilling in here, and I stumped everything yesterday. I hate leaving jobs messy and dirty, but there's nothing you can really do. There's not much you're going to do about that tops. Well, I don't know, that's topsoil and a little bit of wood in there, and that's actually good fill. Except I couldn't break that pile open yesterday because it's frozen solid. It was completely covered in spruce boughs, so it was well insulated and it froze solid, so the sun couldn't get at it. So I opened it up, buried all the pine boughs, and we're going to wait for that to unthaw. Then I'm going to spread that in these low spots, but it's extremely low and wet here. So it doesn't look pretty, but that's as good as you're going to get in wet ground conditions like this. There's nothing you can do about that. And you can see the 80's got a little bit of dirt on her. No doubt about it. But I will say one thing. I sure am glad that I had a machine with 24-inch pads on it in this soft ground right here. That was the saving grace yesterday for me on this job right here. I will say, very first job I put this 80 on right here, and I'm damn glad it had 24-inch pads on it, because you know what? If that would have been a narrow track machine, she would have really been going down, because on the 24-inch pads on that Kubota, that machine sunk quite a bit. So I can only imagine what would happen if you had a narrow track machine trying to go through that boggy swamp right there. It would be pretty messy. Much worse than it is now. But thanks for tuning in, you guys. I'm just going to do a little bit of cleaning up here on the customer's driveway. I'm going to rake it down a little bit, kind of clean it up a bit, get rid of this clumpy mud, and hopefully leave them with a little better presentation. Okay, thanks for tuning in, you guys, and I'll talk to you on the next one.